Hi. I've been asked something recently that has to do with current events, and on that I have to say two things. One, current events are not my style. I work really hard at being an aging hipster, and talking about current events and specifics like that really puts a damper on everything I've done to maintain that persona. It of course doesn't help that I'm usually late to every topical party, so I hope this gets out in time to have any relevance whatsoever. Secondly, it's about something that's gotten a lot of attention, but I still maintain that it's the periphery that concerns me. I'm of course talking about the new Ghostbusters, or the female Ghostbusters, the Girlbusters, the Busty Ghosters, I don't know. The new Ghostbusters of 2016, that's what the title is now. So, the new Ghostbusters of 2016 is drawing a lot of attention because it's an all-female main cast of some repute, maybe to some extent the modern female equivalents, and I mean that based on their talents and resumes more than just being gender bent, to the original Ghostbusters cast. But that's not what I'm going to talk about, oh no. I'm going to talk about, you guessed it, drama! Thanks to the nature of the internet, we've got a lot of it surrounding this, the new Ghostbusters of 2016. Yeah, I might be getting on the train at the caboose here, but I'll have my point soon enough. Now, as a preface to said point, we've got basically two camps here. There's people who may or may not see the movie, and people who feel that they have to see the movie. Seriously, there are people out there saying that if this movie does poorly, whether it's a bad movie or not, it will make it even harder on female filmmakers and women in the entertainment industry in general. Now, I'm not going to make my point around this at all, and for multiple reasons. Mostly because by now, it's probably been argued to death and back, and I'm not one to beat a dead horse, whether that horse is a mare or a representation of the patriarchy in horse form. What concerns me is the one video in particular that I watched to try and understand something very specific about the argument. One day, not very long ago, a famous internet personality came out and explained why he wasn't going to see the new Ghostbusters of 2016. And after that video came out, all eyes turned to the nerd, and a dark shadow covered him and Cinemassacre for a good while, like 2 or 3 hours or so. That's ages online. So being a longtime follower of Mr. Rolf's content, I naturally had to see this video. And what I saw wasn't nearly as bad as I thought. It was just James Rolfe being frank about what he saw in the trailer and how it really didn't impress him. To some extent, I agreed with what he said, especially about reboots. I don't pretend to be as big a Ghostbusters fan as he is now, and I really don't pretend to be an extreme anti-feminist who will agree blindly with anything contrary to the spirit of the more leftward-leaning side of the internet, as it seemed he was purported to be. But now I'm going to make my point. Ever since that day, I have been greeted with videos all over my YouTube homepage that are very, how do I put this, stilted? Some kind of strange brew was created between my occasionally looking up some fail blog stuff, probably, and this AVGN video that now I get these videos like this in my suggestions. So back to the constant mindfulness of the monsters outside while the rest of the people in the cabin bicker amongst themselves, I have to ask, to myself, to YouTube, and the world as a whole when I say, why? What kind of person does this suggestion matrix program think that I am? These programs are written such that they produce links to content based on the search results and viewing histories of people who watch the same kinds of things that I do. So, just after viewing this AVGN video about the new Ghostbusters of 2016, I'm suddenly filed into the same camp as a grown man who critiques, or maybe perhaps kicks the crap out of the creators of, videos made by unfortunate souls from Tumblr exercising a type of rallying force against special snowflakeism. Now, I'm never going to say that it's not within this man's rights to do what he's doing, just as it's not outside anybody else's right, even the people who are making the other videos that he's critiquing. It's just a bunch of people shouting at each other on the internet. What concerns me is how I'm getting caught in the middle of this somehow. Like I stumbled into the hyena's change room and I have no idea where the exit is. This isn't really targeting anymore either. It's one thing to tailor ads and content based on the kinds of things that we all watch. I mean, I'm not really happy about that. But it's part of the terms of service, and I agree to it by using the site. But somehow, this whole thing now feels more than a little dirty. At least in regards to being hacked up and filed like that. How fickle it all is, jumping from one set of suggestions to another based on one or two videos. And it probably doesn't help that I watched some of these suggestions to see what the hell they were getting me into. It also bothers me that this builds some sort of ideal figure of masculine consternation, because maybe the other people who search for these things aren't necessarily so anti-feminist and anti-Tumblr and anti-anything other than what matches that particular worldview. But because of this computer program, suddenly this figure is created, almost like thought form, out of these collected search results. What saddens me is that when the robot overlords take over, they will have looked at things like that as part of what we made them do before they could think for themselves. Or maybe they already do think for themselves well enough, and they're laughing about us. Either way, I guess my point is really moot and means absolutely nothing. So that was my little contribution to the Ghostbusters issue, and it really isn't that big a deal. It's more like I don't really get where this is all coming from. The fact that I've just sort of been thrown into this flame war on the internet. I hope my voice sounds okay, because I've been having some sort of issues with my throat and sinuses lately. That's why I didn't make this video over the weekend. As usual, I'm going to plug my Twitter and my Tumblr, especially my Twitter, because I've got nothing on my Tumblr. And remember, bustin' makes me feel good. You guys want to see my Bill Murray impression? Does Bill Murray always look like he's just woken up?